Ghost Eagle lay prone along the damp ridge, his body swallowed by the layered strands of his ghillie suit until he seemed less like a man than an oddly shaped tangle of moss. The jungle around him breathed in slow, humid sighs, wind stirring leaves, insects folding and unfolding in the heat, distant birds calling warnings he understood as clearly as spoken language. He controlled his breathing, letting it merge with the rhythm of the forest. Through the scope of his rifle, the world narrowed to a precise circle in which nothing escaped notice. Movement, shadows, tracks patterns, all cataloged, all stored. On any other day, patience and silence were his only companions. Today, however, the jungle felt wrong in its stillness. A tremor pulsed beneath his elbows. Not the rumble of a truck, not the thump of a helicopter, but something deeper, older, as though the sky itself had a heartbeat. He lifted his gaze just as a column of blue-white light tore down through the cloud layer. The canopy glowed. Birds burst into frenzied flight. Animals fled in every direction. Even the insects vanished into sudden quiet. Ghost Eagle slid back from the ridge, keeping low, watching as the sky peeled open to reveal a vast metallic shape forcing itself into visibility. It wasn't descending, it was unveiling, becoming real in a way that defied familiar physics. A ship, enormous, impossibly smooth, shimmering with unnatural geometry. No human engineering looked like that. A voice rolled across the world, not spoken but imposed, translated into every language yet sounding like none. Inhabitants of Terra, the Galactic Consortium initiates the evaluation of primitive species. Present your champion. Ghost Eagle stared upward as symbols rippled across the ship's hull like a living script. He wasn't frightened. Fear was a luxury he'd learned to discard. But he felt the gravity of the moment settle onto his shoulders like new weight in an old pack. Someone, somewhere, had been expecting this. Someone in a suit and tie, not camouflage and dirt. His earpiece crackled. Ghost Eagle, extraction incoming. Moved to the clearing to 200 meters west. Now, he hesitated only a heartbeat before pulling back from the ridge. If command was calling him, then the world had changed in ways he didn't yet understand. He moved through the brush with silent precision, every shift of muscle economical. A shadow passed overhead, and a compact aerospace shuttle, military black, unmarked, descended through the trees on whisper thrusters. The ramp lowered before it touched the ground. Inside waited a woman in a crisp uniform, her expression carved from equal parts exhaustion and urgency. "Sergeant Hale," she said, using the name almost no one was clear to know. "Thank you for coming quickly." He slung his rifle across his chest. "Didn't have much choice." "No one does," she replied. "The aliens, this consortium, they've issued a challenge. A tournament of sorts. They want to test Earth's greatest warrior. And someone told them that was me. Someone told us," she corrected. "And after reviewing your record, we're inclined to agree." He studied her face. She believed what she was saying. More importantly, she understood what it meant. Humanity wasn't being asked, it was being judged. She led him deeper into the shuttle. Screens displayed intercepted broadcasts from the consortium. Alien generals laughed at footage of human rifles, calling them toys of a backward species. Their mockery wasn't casual, but ritualistic, as though belittling Earth was part of the combat itself. Hale felt something stir inside him. Not pride, not anger, but a quiet steadiness that had carried him through every impossible mission. "What happens if I lose?" he asked. The woman's silence was answer enough. He nodded once. Acceptance. Commitment. A contract with the inevitable. "Then I won't," he said. For the first time, a hint of relief softened her gaze. As the shuttle lifted off, the jungle shrank beneath them, swallowed again by mist. The sky opened like a doorway, and Ghost Eagle realized he wasn't being sent to fight for glory, or for recognition, or even for victory. He was being sent because the world needed someone who never truly allowed himself to lose. The moment Ghost Eagle stepped off the shuttle and onto the metallic platform, He felt as though he were standing inside the hollowed-out ribcage of some ancient colossus. The Galactic Consortium stretched above him in an impossible arc, its tiers stacked with creatures of every shape and disposition, all focused on the lone human walking into their spectacle. Their voices blended into a chorus of disdain, curiosity, and a thin edge of anticipation. He kept his posture steady, letting their noise wash over him without demanding a response. Observation mattered more than reaction. Every contemptuous stare, every twitch of an alien appendage, added to the map forming in his mind. A map of intentions, weaknesses, and blind assumptions. A serpentine official with crystalline scales guided him forward, its elongated limbs moving with a disturbingly elegant rhythm. The creature held a translucent tablet displaying a holographic list of combatants. Terran representative, it said, voice musical yet dismissive. Your equipment has been logged as a ballistic relic. Energy output negligible. Amusing, if nothing else. It tilted its head as if waiting for embarrassment or apology. Ghost Eagle simply adjusted the strap of his rifle. It works, he replied. The official blinked, the gesture slow and perplexed, as though the concept of sufficiency was foreign. Function alone will not save you, it said. Your opponents are champions of strategic worlds. They are engineered, trained, or evolved for conflict far beyond your epic. He didn't bother answering. Boasting was wasted energy. Instead, he took in the arena's terrain, shifting platforms, jagged pillars, pockets of shadow cast by rotating rings of machinery overhead. The ground resembled volcanic stone fused with metallic veins, a deliberate blend of natural danger and artificial malice. To most competitors, it would be a battlefield of spectacle. To him, it was potential, cover, funnel points, elevation advantages. As he assessed the field, an armored door thundered open across the arena. A reptilian warrior stepped through, its body sheathed in shimmering plates that pulsed with internal light. The crowd erupted into cheers. The creature raised a plasma-edged spear and roared, the sound vibrating through the arena floor. This, apparently, was the first test. A disembodied voice announced the terms of the bout, but Ghost Eagle hardly listened. Rules didn't matter. Survival did. The reptilian champion advanced with swift, confident strides, assuming superiority as effortlessly as breathing. It was accustomed to domination, not caution. A mistake. Ghost Eagle lowered his stance, exhaling until the noise of the crowd thinned into a distant hum. The rifle felt familiar in his hands, an anchor to the world he'd momentarily left behind. When the alien lunged, he didn't retreat. Instead, he pivoted to the side, letting the creature's momentum carry it past him. The shot that followed wasn't dramatic. It was efficient. A single round pierced the gap between the champion's armor plates, slipping through with surgical precision. The reptilian stumbled, confusion replacing arrogance as it collapsed. The arena fell silent, disbelief rippling outward like a shockwave. Even the alien commentators seemed at a loss, their voices faltering before regaining a strained composure. The official with crystalline scales stared across the arena, its expression cracking into something like unease. Ghost Eagle didn't raise his weapon in triumph. Instead, he watched the fallen champion until its movements ceased, confirming the result. Then he scanned the crowd, noting how quickly mockery had shifted to wary fascination. Perception was changing, not enough to matter yet, but enough to register. A platform lifted him back toward the preparation chamber. As it ascended, he felt neither relief nor pride. The victory only confirmed what he already understood. The consortium relied on power, spectacle, and unbroken patterns. They expected opponents to behave predictably. They assumed technological dominance ensured victory. They believed humans were simple. They were wrong, and he suspected they were only beginning to realize just how wrong. Ghost Eagle waited in the dim preparation chamber as the echoes of the arena faded into a tense hum. The walls seemed alive with shifting patterns of light, each pulse carrying encrypted chatter from consortium officers trying and failing to explain how a human with a primitive weapon had just undone one of their honored champions. He sat on a narrow bench, rifle across his knees, listening to the cadence of their alarm through the vibrations rather than the words. Panic had a rhythm. It always did. A doorway shimmered open, and the crystalline official entered with noticeably less swagger than before. Its movements had lost their fluid confidence, replaced with clipped gestures that betrayed agitation. Terran representative. It began, pausing as if searching for a new tone. The council requests clarification regarding your projectile weapon. Its penetration capabilities exceed predicted metrics. Ghost Eagle studied the creature. Maybe your predictions were wrong. The official scales flickered in a stuttering pattern. Annoyance, confusion, perhaps even fear. Our shields are optimized against energy. Kinetic attacks were deemed obsolete in advanced warfare. That's not my problem. The official recoiled slightly, then pivoted away. Your next opponent enters shortly. Prepare yourself. Its voice trembled at the edges, a dissonant quiver it tried and failed to mask. When it left, the chamber fell quiet again, but the silence didn't last. A strange pressure swept across the room, seeping into his thoughts like cold fingers brushing the back of his skull. The lights dimmed. The air thickened. Ghost Eagle closed his eyes, centering himself as the presence slithered deeper, probing. The mental intrusion wasn't subtle. It carried an unsettling curiosity, as if someone were peeling back memories to see how they were constructed. He spoke aloud, voice low but steady. If you're in my head, you won't find anything useful. A whisper answered from everywhere and nowhere at once. Your mind is labyrinthine, chaotic, but strong. The voice stretched and folded, layered with harmonics that made it feel less like speech and more like a vibration in his blood. You are an anomaly, Terran. I've been called worse. A figure materialized in the center of the chamber, tall, insectoid, its exoskeleton reflecting iridescent colors that shifted as it breathed. Its multifaceted eyes studied him with surgical precision. This was the telepathic hunter he'd been briefed on, though no briefing could convey the oppressive weight of its psychic presence. I am the vassal of the mind deep, it said. I will peel apart your consciousness until your will collapses. Ghost Eagle stood, unhurried. You can try. The arena lights flared to life as they were transported into the combat space. No crowd roared this time. Instead, the spectators leaned forward in a collective hush, aware that this fight was unlike the last. The telepath moved without visible steps, gliding over the ground as if gravity were an afterthought. Its mandibles clicked softly. The pressure in Ghost Eagle's mind intensified, summoning illusions at the periphery of his vision. Shapes from past missions, voices of fallen teammates, fragments of guilt weaponized with malicious precision. He forced a slow breath. Illusions couldn't kill him, but distraction could. He anchored his senses to the tangible, the weight of his rifle, the rough fabric of his gloves, the pattern of his heartbeat. He advanced a single step, shaking off the illusions like dust. The Vasa hissed. Your mind resists. Impressive. Futile. The telepath launched a barrage of false images. Flashes of burning forests, collapsing buildings, the faces of those he'd failed. But Ghost Eagle didn't flinch. Pain was familiar. Failure even more so. But neither controlled him. He raised his rifle, not aiming with sight, but with instinct honed beyond thought. The telepathic pressure surged, clawing for control, but he centered himself in that quiet place he'd always retreated to when life demanded impossible calm. He fired. The bullet struck just beneath the Vasa's jaw, where the iridescent armor thinned. The creature convulsed, psychic pressure breaking like shattered glass. Silence followed, pure, crystalline silence, before the telepath collapsed in a cascade of dimming colors. The crowd erupted, not with mockery this time, but with stunned, rising awe. Ghost Eagle lowered his weapon, exhaled once, and understood something important. These beings were powerful, but they were not invincible. And more importantly, they had never fought someone who'd already learned to master his own demons. Another opponent defeated. Another illusion broken. But the arena doors were already opening for whatever came next. The arena lights dimmed to a somber glow as Ghost Eagle stepped back into the preparation chamber, his pulse steady despite the lingering echoes of the telepath's collapse. He placed his rifle across his lap and let the silence settle, feeling the faint tremor of shifting machinery beneath the floor. The consortium had expected spectacle, but not insight. They had not anticipated that each battle would reveal not just his resilience, but their own failings. What unnerved him most, he sensed, was that he did not seem surprised by victory. He treated each opponent not as an impossible obstacle, but as a solvable problem. A harsh metallic tone reverberated through the chamber. The crystalline official reappeared, but its composure had eroded into something brittle. The Council wishes to accelerate the evaluation, it announced. Your effectiveness has disrupted expected outcomes. The final combatant has been chosen. He is the Grand Marshal of the Consortium's unified forces. Ghost Eagle nodded once. Then let's get it over with. You do not grasp the scale of what you face, the official insisted. The Grand Marshal has defeated entire planetary militias. His armor adapts to every assault. He cannot be outmatched by velocity or mass. Everything breaks, Ghost Eagle said quietly. You just have to find where. The official's eyes flickered, but it said nothing more. It led him to the elevator that carried him upward, toward the arena that had become the galaxy's most watched battleground. As the platform rose, Ghost Eagle breathed deeply, letting the cool air fill his chest. He did not feel dread. He felt the steady alignment of purpose, the rare clarity that came when a mission required absolute focus. The arena opened before him, vast and eerily silent. The crowd leaned forward as a colossal figure emerged from the opposite gate. The Grand Marshal towered above every champion before him, encased in armor that pulsed with shifting patterns of light, each movement accompanied by the hum of adaptive shielding. His weapons resembled elongated scythes of concentrated energy, leaving luminous trails through the air. When he spoke, his voice vibrated like thunder scraping along metal. Human, you have disrupted order. This evaluation ends now. Ghost Eagle lifted his rifle, though he knew a direct shot would be absorbed. Instead of aiming at the Marshal, he studied the arena. Panels suspended high above reflected, distorted images. Curved metal surfaces arranged for intimidation rather than strategy. But reflections meant angles, and angles meant possibilities. The Marshal advanced with heavy, resonant steps. Ghost Eagle moved along the outer edge of the battlefield, drawing the giant's attention without offering a shot. He let instinct guide him, calculating distance, trajectory, and the shifting nature of the adaptive armor. His opponent swung an energy scythe, carving through stone. Fragments scattered, but Ghost Eagle slipped behind cover, his breathing level. He needed one moment, one vulnerability. When a Marshal raised both weapons for a finishing strike, Ghost Eagle saw the alignment he'd hoped for. A mirrored panel directly above, another behind it, and a third near the opposite wall. Imperfect surfaces, but workable. He braced the rifle, exhaled, and fired. The shot ricocheted from panel to panel, each deflection bending its path until it struck the back of the Marshal's helmet exactly where the adaptive plates thinned between transitions. The giant staggered, armor flickering wildly before collapsing with earth-shaking force. Silence dominated the arena, then swelled into uproar as countless spectators rose in disbelief. The crystalline official appeared at Ghost Eagle's side, trembling. By consortium law, it murmured, victory grants your species sovereignty. Ghost Eagle gave no response. He simply turned away, boarding the shuttle that waited to return him home. When he stepped back onto Earth's soil, the jungle greeted him as though nothing had changed. He walked to the ridge where he had first been found, lay prone, and set his rifle before him. The world still needed watching, and he had never been one to rest simply because others believed the danger had passed.